guys, it's Jen. This is another Jenna Zen episode of Reframing Me. I am your host, Dr. Jennifer Brubaker, and Reframing Me is a space where moms who are raising teenagers can come to rediscover who they are as women beyond the frame of motherhood and hopefully pick up some helpful hints and some information that will help them to understand their teens and to make their families run more smoothly on the daily. In our main episodes, we come from a foundation of family communication theory to have conversations about issues that our families commonly face and how we can better understand them. And alternately, in these short bits, I give you something to meditate on or journal about as we try to rediscover ourselves. But before we start and get too far in, it's our last Jenna Zen episode, our last reflection of the year, our last episode of 2024. I mean, that is just crazy to me. I saw a tweet or a post or something the other day that said, this year I saw the best version of me and the worst version of me. And I thought how true that probably is in so many ways for so many of us. The different versions of us that have shown up during the year, especially in a year like this one has been. So I want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you for listening, obviously. Thank you for coming back episode after episode. Thank you for sharing the episodes with your friends and the show to help grow our community. To be honest, I don't really know what I was expecting this to be like 2 years ago when I started the whole process. And my gosh, it's probably been like exactly 2 years, not since I published the first episode. That would have been in October 2 years ago. But it wasn't until, I don't know, like the 12th or 15th or some teen number of December. So we're close. But it was 2 years ago now-ish that I actually shared an episode and told anybody that this podcast even existed. But at that point, I was so unsure and so insecure, not just with podcasting, but honestly, with so many things in life. I was an entirely different person than I feel like I am today. I walk differently and talk differently. I think differently. I carry myself differently. I still guess I don't know exactly what the plan is or what the goal is or whatever, but I feel much better equipped to handle it and to actually do it. So yes, I want to thank you sincerely for coming on this journey with me and for allowing me the privilege of going on your journey with you. So yes, I want to thank you. But today, I really want you to say thank you. I mean, not to me, silly, although I know you probably want to thank me for being so amazing, right? I'm just kidding. No, I want you to say thank you to you. We always go into this time of year, ending one year and starting the new year, thinking about all of the ways that we can be better, that we can do better, that we should be better. We think about all of our shortcomings and how we are going to get rid of them in the new year. But you know what? No, you're not perfect. None of us are. But you are still pretty amazing. Do you ever think about that? Because I know most of us don't. We are so quick to note the things that we're doing wrong or how we're falling short. But we can totally identify every mistake that we make, and we know every damn thing that we want to change about ourselves. But we are so much more than that. We're so much better than we give ourselves credit for. You have done so much this year. You have survived all of the bad days that you've faced. Maybe you've thrived. I sure hope you've thrived. But if you haven't, that's okay too, because you made it. And sometimes just showing up is the really hard part. Day after day, just plugging along, doing your best. I know it is hard to show up, especially on those days when you don't feel like everything is going exactly how you want it to go. But there is so much power in the showing up. And before you think about all of the things that you want to change, all of the goals and the aspirations that you want to achieve in the new year, take a few minutes to thank yourself. Thank yourself for all that you have brought to this year, all of the hard work, the focus it's taken, the patience, the dedication to your family, to yourself, to your job, to your friends, to everything. Have you given yourself enough credit? Because I feel like you probably haven't. And I really, really want you to. I know that my first thought, if I am being honest, is absolutely, but I could have done more. I should have done more. But I have done and been more than enough. And so have you. Of course, we can always find something more to be or to do. But instead of focusing on that, we need to focus on all that we actually did. Even if, well, I made it through is about all we can muster. But I am guessing that there is a whole lot more than that. So before you reflect on anything else, set any goals, make any plans, I want you to think about all that you have done and given to everyone and everything this past year. Thank yourself for coming here. You wouldn't choose to listen to a show like this only for my stunning personality alone, right? You are doing it to help yourself, to help your family. And that is something to be proud of. Self-development work and self-reflection are not easy. No way. It is hard to look at yourself through that lens. And I give us all a lot of credit for being brave enough to do that work. But I know that no matter what we do, no matter how much we do, we never feel like it's enough, do we? Not only do we not typically thank ourselves, but we sure do beat ourselves up sometimes. I think that when we're striving for those big goals, or even just when we think we should be striving for those big goals, it can be super easy to overlook the small wins that are the ones that actually add up to big gains. I am willing to bet that all of y'all who have been listening, I guarantee that you have grown, you have changed. I know that you are not the same person who started listening a month or 6 months or a year ago. You cannot listen to self-development without some degree of growth. But if you're only looking for those monumental wins, you might gloss over the small victories. So I want you to think about where you have actually seen those seeds of growth. Have you asked yourself what you really want for yourself or what you really want to get out of life? Because those are scary questions, and it takes a lot of courage to even ask them of yourself. So if you did that, then yay, you celebrate that. Have you said no to something? Something that maybe you would have said yes to in the past? Maybe in the past you would have taken on a task or signed up for a volunteer slot or gone to an event, not because you wanted to or not because you needed to, but simply because you felt like you should. But now you're like, that just doesn't align with my values or it doesn't fit my priorities right now. So no. Well, if you did that, then good for you. Have you asked for help with something? Something that maybe you would have just pushed through in the past? But now you've realized it's okay to ask for help or to reach out for support because you don't need to do everything alone. Or maybe, and this is a wild and crazy one, but maybe you outsourced a task so you didn't have to do it just because you didn't want to do it. Or maybe so that you could focus on other things. I am so proud of you for making that decision. And you should be too. Maybe you made a decision on your own because you trusted yourself. You knew what you wanted or what you needed. You knew and you trusted yourself. You trusted your knowledge or your intuition. In the past, maybe you'd have needed reassurance, but instead now you've trusted yourself. Even if it was only a small decision, you still trusted in you, and you should be proud of that. Maybe you recognized a critical thought and you caught it and you reframed it. Maybe you recognized a negative pattern of behavior or of thinking and you stopped it in its tracks. And maybe you missed the other 99, but so what? Acknowledge the one that you caught and celebrate it. Someday you'll move on to the others. Or maybe there was a time when you decided that what someone else thought or said about you, it didn't matter. It didn't change how you felt about yourself. You realized that their opinion wasn't of your concern. And so you just kept going. Or you made a mistake, or you slipped up on any of these types of things. And you realized that you are an imperfect being. And that's okay. And you took responsibility for your words or your thoughts or your actions, and you realized that was you changing your future. And while I would hazard a guess that most of you didn't have these tiny accomplishments on your 2024 resolutions, that doesn't mean that they're not the ones that you should be proud of. So take note of them, celebrate them. Don't let these small accomplishments sneak by. We can always take note of where we need to change or how we should have changed. But most growth isn't even obvious, but it doesn't mean it's not there and it's not important. We are so quick to take note of the things that we're doing wrong or how we're falling short. So instead, tell yourself thank you. Thank you for all of the ways that you have shown up this year. Thank you for all of these tiny accomplishments, all of the ways that you've grown. Now, I mentioned in our last episode that I've been going through a bit of an existential crisis lately. A bit of, can one go through a bit of an existential crisis? Oh, I just have a touch of doubt about my entire existence. Just like everything I do and think and am, but no biggie. Now, as I told y'all, I am at cutting bangs level of meltdown. So I have been pretty deep in it. But I will say that I have been doing a very good amount of reflection. I've given a lot of thought to everything. I've taken a look into who I am, what I'm doing, who I want to be, what I want to be doing. And shockingly, I am actually doing and feeling much better about things than I give myself credit for, right? I know we always give ourselves so much credit, don't we? Admittedly, I do think a good portion has been just kind of due to exhaustion, mental, physical, spiritual, relational, just all of it. Getting this semester behind me and having a second to breathe feels good. I mean, it's the week before Christmas. And as of this past weekend, I did not have one single gift purchased. And now I've reached the point in my shopping that I have absolutely no idea what is going to show up or when, because I bought so much in such a short period of time that I don't even know what is coming. There could be a ridiculous amount of stuff, or it could be the most pathetic Christmas morning we've had. And we go away to the mountains for New Year's each year. And despite the fact that I know we do it every year, you would think that'd mean I was, of course, prepared. Well, you would be wrong, because literally until like the day before yesterday, I didn't have reservations anywhere. But now I don't have work, like schoolwork. I don't have it hanging over my head anymore. And once I'm done recording today, I'm out of my little podcasting nook until 2025. So yay me. But that level of exhaustion has definitely not been helping how I've been feeling. And I will admit that even though I just told you that whatever you've done is plenty enough, well, another portion of my crisis has stemmed from just feeling like I'm not progressing, like I'm not moving forward to reach my goals. But you know what? I am. I feel like I'm not, but I am actually making great progress in all areas of my life. But in the middle of all of it, I just don't see it. What's the saying? You can't see the forest and the trees. I don't think that that's it at all. Do you know what I mean, though? Like, I'm so entrenched in it all. I haven't reached my end game yet. So I feel like I'm not moving forward. Maybe that's it. But last year at this time, I, of course, did some goal setting and I went back through it yesterday. And you know what? To my complete surprise, I did actually do what I said I was going to do. I am exactly on track like I wanted to be. So thankfully, last year, Jen, was a lot more realistic and reasonable than I feel now amidst all of my end of semester exhaustion and end of year angst. So now that we've thanked ourselves for all that we've given and done and been in 2024 as we move towards 2025, I want to tell us something. Our waiting season is over. It is our time. What would your future look like if you started it free? Free of your doubts and your limitations, your worries and your fears, free of any self limiting beliefs or emotional baggage of the past, free of other people's expectations of who you should be. What if you started 2025 free? What would that look like? And who would you be? Those of you who have been here for a minute know that I like to reflect on some version of this. What would I be? Who would I be if I was truly free? That question. I've posed it to you a number of times. Last year, then, I asked you to act as if you were packing for the new year. What would you take and what would you leave behind? So this year's prompt, I guess, is pretty on brand, right? This is the time of year when we want to look at what we're ready to release, what it's time to let go of, what we don't want to bring with us into the new year. What would your future look like if you started it free? What is it that you need to be free of? What doubts, worries, limitations? Do you want to take everything that you have in your life right now? What are you ready to let go of? Well, I am ready to be free of self-doubt, of those limiting beliefs. As I have slowly started all of this over the last 2 years, I have doubted my ability to put myself into it wholly. I have been fearful of committing myself too much for where I'm at in my life. Like I don't feel like I have the time or the energy to devote to it. That I'm just laying the groundwork, but I'm not, quote, ready yet. Of course, I am ready. Maybe I wasn't then. I'll give myself the benefit of the doubt on that one. But I am ready now. And to hide underneath the guise of, like, well, I just can't put myself in wholly, that is a self limiting belief. Of course I can. Of course I can do it. And you know what else? I'm actually good at it. And being on camera. Like most of you, I grew up before YouTube and TikTok and cameras were in our pockets. And I cannot tell you how many times I heard, Jennifer, stop performing. Or Jennifer's always looking in the mirror, always performing, always posing. I was told that all my life. And apparently it was a bad thing. I guess performing was a bad thing. So I started to see it as being a bad thing. Why? Why would it be bad? So what? To this day, I find myself self conscious taking photos because I feel like I am being judged for posing, for performing. Like, exactly what you are meant to be doing for a camera. I still hear it in my head though. And I look at everyone around me and I am assuming that they're judging me too. It's funny because my adorable 9-year-old niece, she is 100% how I was. She is basically like a YouTuber without a YouTube channel. That girl, she can put on a show and I cannot cheer her on enough. So what if she's looking in the mirror, performing her own one-person show? Let her, support her. Don't judge her for it. So yes, it has been a self-limiting belief, and I am leaving that narrative behind in 2024. I know that I have been hesitant to put myself out there all of my life. I've been hesitant to make mistakes, to try and maybe fail, to be judged. So, yeah, that's a self-limiting belief too. And I'm going to leave that shit behind because it is our time and there is no room for that in our time. I can leave that narrative behind right next to perfectionism because I have told you all many times that I am a perfectionist. And I think that each time that I get a prompt like this and I give us a prompt like this, I have said something like, I need to leave my perfectionism behind. Well, I read something not long ago that really resonated with me. It said that perfectionism is your brain's misguided attempt to keep you safe. Your brain thinks that by being flawless, it will protect you from judgment and from failure. It's sad that perfectionism is a shield. Like, if you can just do this perfectly, no one can criticize you. Perfectionism is fear in disguise. It's a fear of judgment and of failure and of not being enough and is someone who, yes, tries to get everything right and do everything just perfect. Someone who tries to look perfect and act perfect and be perfect. And why? Because I guess I'm afraid of being judged and afraid of failing and afraid of just not being enough. And that is definitely something that I need to be free of. And I look at that and I think, what would the future be like if I could just be free of that fear? Because that's the future that I want to manifest. So, okay, I think that those are good things that I would like to leave behind. What about you? What would your future look like if you started it free? Free of your doubts and your limitations, your worries and your fears, free of any self-limiting beliefs or emotional baggage of the past, free of other people's expectations of who you should be. What if you started 2025 free? What would that look like? And who would you be? Thank you so much for being here today and always. I truly appreciate every one of you. I would really love if you could share the show or this episode with a friend. Maybe take a couple of minutes to give the show a 5-star rating and write a glowing review of it and of me. Give me a follow of the show on socials. We're at Reframing Me on Instagram and TikTok and Reframing Me on Facebook. Join the Facebook group, Reframing Me, a podcast community. I hope that you all have wonderful holidays full of happiness and peace and love. And until next time, be well and communicate.